Reporting live for us in Austin this morning. Thanks so much, Rowan. I know you had to get there early to get parking that close to the Capitol. A wild duck, and
That's
somebody
right.
had clearly picked it up because it looked sick.
Yes, that's correct.
You probably would not advise people to handle birds that
we
look
wouldn't
ill.
do that, particularly the way things are now.
So that book features some of the wildest stories of his life in costume and out of costume. And joining me live to talk about it, Owen Conflenti, who you'd hear all these stories and think there's no way that happened to one person. Are you saying that the person who recorded the video went to authorities first, didn't give the video to the parents? So it took a while for the parents to basically even see it.
Correct.
I've never met a doctor who didn't love honey.
We love it.
Yes, and especially, you know, kids under 6 years old, like they are not approved for any kind of cough medicine. So that's really the best news in all of this. COVID and RSV are low right now. And actually, RSV is 15 times lower than it was this time last year.
That is definitely good news, because last year, right about this time, all three of my kids got the flu.
Right, yeah. In the past couple of years, RSV has been pretty bad. So luckily, not this year.
Fingers crossed.
We wanted to share the stories of two inspiring people. First, it was a car accident that made the morning news in 2010. One of the only survivors, a pregnant young mother who happened to work at Shriners Children's in Galveston. Soon after her son's birth, he became a patient there. And as Shriners always does, they're still caring for him today. Tony Pierre has grown up coming to Shriners Children's Texas.
It was really just a blessing.
His mother, Crystal Pierre, survived a car accident when she was only 2 months along in her pregnancy.
My sister was driving, had a stroke, and died immediately. It had just newly rained, so there was nothing that we could do. To be newly paralyzed on top of all of that, and then to have to keep the baby growing inside.
Crystal made it to full term and says she knew from previously working at Shriners, Tony losing his leg was something they could heal from.
You can't bring people back, but I could get a wheelchair and I could figure out how to walk, or we can get a prosthetic leg.
Pediatric Orthotic and Prosthetic Services, or POPS, is on site at every Shriners Children's location.
He's come here basically since he's a baby.
The benefit to it being right here is the staff, like Elise Reagan, works directly with children to create prostheses specific to their needs and abilities.
I'm going to just make him taller. And then replace that strap.
You know how to swim?
Tony has needed a new leg every summer, and this year it's kind of overdue.
I mean, that one step, he's dropping way down there. He needs something longer. Yes. Clearly.
Inside here, they can create whatever he needs. In this case, both the leg and the running blade. What's the harm in not just wearing this one all the time?
We try to discourage it. The way that you can clear the limb on these and to take full advantage of that blade, you have to swing your hip around. That just makes for poor gait, can add stretches.
Because of that.
And if you're sitting in a desk, sometimes it's hard to get in because this doesn't bend.
Tony makes these prostheses work in his favor and always leaves moving, walking, and running better than before.
A lot easier, a lot more agile, and a lot more sleek.
And since Shriners makes sure nothing holds him back, he can become the person he was meant to be.
He's my miracle. I just can't wait to see what he's going to become, what kind of man he becomes.
Houston, aka Space City, is home to both NASA and the largest medical center in the world. Researchers are always working to find new advancements here on Earth and beyond. And now the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center and NASA are working together to use outer space as a way to advance cancer care. Inside this lab at MD Anderson,
we've been studying T cells as a form of treatment for cancer for more than 20 years.
T cells are what they're hyper-focused on. What do those do? Good question.
So T cells are a type of white blood cell in your immune system, and they're responsible for fighting viruses, sometimes called killer T cells, because they recognize and they kill the tumor.
With that kind of power, scientists like Cassie and Yi want to figure out how they can manipulate T cells to provide protection from cancer. The T cells are a bit of a mystery in medicine. How the memory develops or why some T cells suffer exhaustion isn't fully understood, and the idea of provoking them is intriguing.
We're trying to develop T cells that have long-lasting memory and are resistant to exhaustion.
So he says the conditions in space may unlock discoveries he can't achieve here on Earth.
There have been a lot of experiments that have been done to simulate microgravity on Earth with random positioning machines, or even flying the T cells in parabolic flight to simulate gravity for short periods of time. But in order to influence the differentiation path that T cells take to become memory, you actually have to subject them to the influence of microgravity for longer periods of time.
And NASA says it's a launch. Yi and his team are preparing to one day send T cells to space and hoping the results are out of this world.
If we can make memory cells, then we can give patients long-lasting T cells that will continue to fight cancer and to prevent it from relapsing.
So that's who it would really be important for, is people who've already had cancer and are at risk for a relapse.
Absolutely. So one of the other important things about immunotherapy or T cell therapy is the ability to provide long-lasting protection. And doing so, you may not have to continue to give more therapy or other types of treatments that can be debilitating to the patient's health.
Another groundbreaking discovery aimed at ending Alzheimer's disease. Take a look at what researchers at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston are working on. This is the lab at UTMB where Dr. Raquez Kayed and his team have developed a nasal spray that could unlock the secret to curing Alzheimer's.
They are known in this lab worldwide.
You might be familiar with other pharmaceuticals entering the market that attack amyloid plaque. Newer drugs are aiming to delay progression of Alzheimer's by targeting amyloid. But Dr. Kayed says they fall short of eliminating the protein that he says is responsible for the progression of the disease, the tau protein.
The amyloid is the trigger, and tau is the one who kills the cells. Once these cells start to accumulate this tau, then they become dysfunctional, they cannot communicate with each other, then they impair their memory. So we designed a drug that only lashes on the bad tau.
In early studies with mice, the team can already prove the drug works.
The animals improved within 3 weeks.
And the good news is, by making the drug a nasal spray, they overcome another hurdle of getting it to cross into the blood-brain barrier.
Yeah, normally less than 1% of the drug penetrates the brain. But here we administer this tiny fraction, and almost all of it gets into the brain.
Saying that he wants to cure Alzheimer's is a bold enough statement, but he's not just stopping there. He's talking about this curing 6 different diseases.
The goal is to cure at least 6-7 of these aging diseases, which is Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia with Lewy body.
Because illnesses like that, he says, are also caused by the tau protein.
This is why we developed not one drug. We developed 6 of them. This is the first. Hopefully the others will follow suit.
You can always check out the latest Houston medical news under the health section of click2houston.com. I'm health reporter Haley Hernandez, KPRC 2 News.